Just the other day, I was telling my daughter about what Halloween was like for me back in the 80s. You know, the times my mom would hand me a black trash bag and scissors and just say, "Go be a ninja." The biggest threat we faced wasn't some stranger, but whether the cheap elastic on our plastic masks would snap before we hit the rich neighborhood. It really got me thinking, how did we, the glorious survivors of the 80s, even make it to adulthood? We were the latchkey generation, raised on questionable parenting, a fine mist of secondhand smoke, and the flickering glow of whatever handful of channels our rabbit ears could pull in. It was a different era, a time of glorious, unsupervised chaos that just wouldn't fly today. So, buckle up. Or don't, we rarely did. And let's take a trip down a memory lane paved with terrible choices and really, really big hair. Let's start with Halloween, or as I call it, the Great Parental Disappearance of October 31st. Today, planning a kid's Halloween is a multi-month, Pinterest-fueled special operation. It involves a budget, a theme, and probably a family team-building retreat to agree on matching costumes. Back in my day, the process was a bit more, let's say, organic. My mom's entire costume department consisted of a garbage bag, some tinfoil, and a roll of duct tape. One year I was a robot, the next I was a knight, and during one particularly lazy year, I was just a man with a box on his head. But the absolute gold standard of 80s costumes was the Ben Cooper plastic jumpsuit and mask combo. These things were basically wearable fire hazards with a picture of the character printed on the chest, just in case your shapeless vinyl smock didn't quite scream He-Man. The mask was a hard piece of plastic with two tiny air holes and a mouth slit so small you could barely breathe, all held on by a single, flimsy staple attached to a rubber band. That band had the structural integrity of a wet noodle. It would, without fail, snap halfway through the night, forcing you to hold the mask to your face with one hand while trying to wrangle your candy bag with the other. And the candy bag. We didn't have cute little plastic pumpkins with safety reflectors. Nope. We had a pillowcase. A full-on, king-size pillowcase. We weren't amateurs. The goal wasn't a respectable haul, it was to bring home a diabetic coma's worth of sugar that would hopefully last until Easter. We'd roll out at dusk, a roaming gang of unsupervised kids, with one simple directive from our parents. Stay out of trouble. No parent chaperones, no pre-screened safe houses, no hand sanitizer. Our map was a mental layout of the neighborhood, highlighting the houses that gave out the full-size candy bars. Weather? Irrelevant. Rain, snow, it didn't matter. We were on a mission from God. At the end of the night, we'd dump our loot on the living room floor and launch into a complex bartering system that would make a Wall Street trader blush. 2 boxes of dots for a mini Snickers, 3 Tootsie Rolls for a pack of Fun Dip. These were the high-stakes deals of our youth. Our parents would give the pile a quick scan, maybe steal the one apple someone inexplicably handed out, and that was it. Today, my kid brings home their candy and it goes through a forensic analysis. Every piece is inspected, cataloged, and cross-referenced with a national allergen database. It's safer, sure, but I can't help feeling like they're missing out on the pure, unfiltered joy of surviving a night of bad costumes and unregulated sugar consumption. Thanksgiving, a symphony of beige and brown. After surviving the Halloween sugarpocalypse, we'd roll right into the warm brown and orange hug of an 80s Thanksgiving. Today's Thanksgiving is a culinary masterpiece. It's all about farm-to-table turkeys, artisanal cranberry chutneys, and side dishes that are gluten-free, dairy-free, and joy-free. It's about staging the perfect photo for Instagram before anyone's allowed to take a bite. Our Thanksgivings were less curated. The turkey was there, sure, but the real stars of the show were the sides, a glorious monument to processed food technology. We didn't have fresh green beans almondine. We had green bean casserole made from a can of Campbell's mushroom soup and topped with those crunchy fried onions from another can. Stuffing wasn't lovingly crafted from artisanal sourdough. It came in a box that said stovetop, and it was magnificent. And cranberry sauce? It wasn't a sauce. It was a gelatinous cylinder that slid out of a can with a satisfying schlop, the ridges from the can still perfectly embossed on its sides. But the true icon of the 80s holiday table was the Jell-O salad. These were bizarre, shimmering creations where lime green or cherry red gelatin held a random assortment of things in suspended animation. Marshmallows, shredded carrots, canned fruit cocktail, maybe some pretzels for a little crunch. Nothing was off limits. It was the Wild West of cuisine, a dish that defied all logic, yet appeared on every single holiday table. And then there was the seating. There wasn't one big happy table where everyone sat together in a circle of gratitude. No, we had the kids' table. Usually a wobbly card table banished to another room, the kids' table was a lawless frontier. It was a land of spilled gravy, plastic cups of Kool-Aid, and heated arguments over who got the bigger half of the wishbone. The adults were in the other room, sipping their Tab diet sodas and wine coolers, completely oblivious to the chaos unfolding just a few feet away. Entertainment wasn't a scheduled family activity. It was our parents shouting, "Go play outside!" or "Go entertain yourselves in the basement." We'd be sent to the yard for hours, or downstairs to play Atari until our eyes glazed over. No iPads, no on-demand movies. Just us, a few board games, and the sweet, sweet freedom of being utterly ignored. The tinsel-fueled fever dream. And then, the grand finale, an 80s Christmas. The season didn't just start. It exploded into existence when my dad would wrestle a giant shedding pine tree through the front door, leaving a trail of needles we'd be finding in the shag carpet well into July. We didn't have elegant, color-coordinated LED lights. We had those big, hot, multicolored bulbs that could probably cook a small ham. And we had tinsel. Not the polite, dainty tinsel you see today. We had the thick, heavy, lead-based stuff that you threw at the tree by the fistful, creating a shimmering, metallic fire hazard that was a sight to behold. Christmas morning was pure, unsupervised mayhem. We'd be up at 5 a.m., tear through presents in a cyclone of wrapping paper, and then be left to our own devices. And what devices they were! The toys of the 80s were a special kind of wonderful, and probably extremely dangerous. We had He-Man and G.I. Joe action figures, light brights with hundreds of tiny, colorful, and easily swallowable pegs, and Transformers that required an engineering degree from MIT to actually transform. Teddy Ruxpin, the talking bear, was mind-blowing, even if his muffled cassette tape voice sounded like he was telling you a bedtime story from the bottom of a well. There were no warnings about small parts. You just got the toy and figured it out. Or, more likely, you'd spend the afternoon watching your dad get angrier and angrier, trying to assemble it with instructions that appeared to be translated from an alien language. Holiday entertainment wasn't an endless scroll through Netflix. It was appointment television. You had to watch A Charlie Brown Christmas or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the night it aired, because if you missed it, that was it. You had to wait a whole year for another chance. We'd all gather around the giant, wood-paneled TV, flipping through the Sears Wish Book catalog, circling every toy we wanted, knowing full well we'd be lucky to get one. Looking back, it's honestly a miracle any of us survived. We were a generation raised on lawn darts, scalding hot metal playground slides, and the freedom to make our own unphotographed mistakes. It was a world without safety nets, literally and figuratively.